Hey there, friends. Dr. Anthony Donovan again here with H2O Proof Water Leadership. Hey, I want to do a little something different today. I want to focus a little bit on some smaller topics today. So I started a little bit of a sub series here called Water Droplets, where I focus in on some individual specific topics about leadership. Today, I want to focus in on the topic of micromanagement. Now, here, look, let's be honest. Micromanaging sometimes gets a bad rap. I'm not sure that it's as awful as sometimes people make it out to be. Certainly, the case is that there are sometimes people who use micromanagement poorly and they do it poorly. But there is a case where you might make to use micromanagement in a way that can be very effective. And I think a lot of times this is often when someone is struggling or they're drowning. And I want to talk a little bit about that. So I'll start with this a little personally. So when I was a little kid, I had an uncle who thought, hey, the way to solve a kid, to teach them how to swim, was to throw them into the deep end of the pool and they would just swim. Sometimes employees are done the same way, where we just dump them into the deep end and they're way over their head. Now, here's the challenge: when you throw an employee deep into the deep end without them being prepared to be able to do that swim, they can sometimes struggle and drown. And this is sort of the case for me. So I was like a lot of little kids. I was an okay swimmer, but I wasn't a super strong swimmer. And one time I was at a lake where it had an up diving platform out in the middle of it. Now, I was all right as a swimmer as long as I could swim as far as the my breath would allow me to do it. In this case, where this diving platform was, I went out there, I swam out there okay. I was able to do that all in one breath, but I tried to come back a little bit too soon. I started swimming back and I got to be about two-thirds, maybe three-quarters of the way there. And I almost could feel the ground underneath me, but I wasn't quite there and I stopped swimming. Now, one of the best advice that you can give to any employee who's struggling is to not stop swimming, to keep going away at it and trying to stroke there. But I stopped and then I went down. And when I put my feet down, I realized that I was just about here on the water level. So I could kind of see over, but my mouth and my nose were completely covered. Sometimes we have employees that are like that. When they stop or they encounter a little bit of a trouble, they're just about here. Now, here's the thing: I literally was drowning. I was that close. I was agonizingly close to being able to stand up on my own and be successful. But I was tired. I was starting to run out of breath and I was really in danger of drowning. In fact, this is how a lot of drowning happens, right? I was surrounded by lots of other people too. I was that close, but I was just one more kid swimming there trying to be able to make it. Now, if I'd been calm, if I'd been able to really think about it, I could have probably just let myself sink to the bottom and push back off and pop back up out of the water. Because again, I was only this far up above me, but I was starting to panic. And sometimes that's the same thing that happens with employees that are in there. They sometimes get a little panic. They forget to swim and they forget that maybe they're in water that they can actually um, pop up and get another breath and start swimming again. I was fortunate. There was an older boy around me, and he saw me, and he could tell I was a little bit struggling. And he didn't overreact to the situation. All he did was he simply gave me a little push, just a little push. And he pushed me forward just enough that it moved me about 3 feet ahead. And I was able then to pop up out of it, and I had my head just barely over the water where I could lean up and get another breath and start swimming. Look, micromanagement is like that, where sometimes you're struggling. You have an employee who really is a little bit over their head and they're starting to drown in the challenge of what that looks like. And one of the ways that they can do that is if you get in there and give them a little shove. Sometimes um, that can be what people call micromanaging. Um, I don't necessarily enjoy micromanaging, but sometimes I would much rather be the person that gives somebody a little push or a little hand up to keep them from drowning. Now, the thing about it is that sometimes there isn't any ability to just simply let them sink to the bottom and then pop back up. Sometimes you're in really deep water. And sometimes what you have to do when you have micromanaging is you extend that out there and it's like a life preserver to them. It helps haul them in, it brings them closer to where you can get some more help or they can provide some more help. Sometimes you have to think about that. If you're an employee and you're struggling, it's okay if somebody gives you a hand when you're starting to run out of energy or you need a little bit of help. If you're the employer or the supervisor, sometimes it's okay to reach down and pull somebody along or give them a little extra shove. So I want to think the next time you think about micromanaging or maybe considering not doing it, think about why it is that you're doing it. If it's there to help somebody to keep them from drowning or maybe keeping a project from failing horribly, where everybody gets soaked for that, maybe it's worth taking the time to do a little bit of extra micromanaging, give a little shove or a little hand out there. All right, this is me for today, and we'll talk to you next time. Thanks.